In an age where everything seems to demand visibility, where the private moments of life are overshadowed by the need for acknowledgement, there is a growing realization that silence may be the ultimate strength. We find ourselves entangled in a world that constantly encourages us to share our triumphs, our pains, our ambitions, often without considering the long-term effects of such exposure. Yet, as we explore the wisdom of Stoicism and the practices that cultivate inner strength, it becomes clear that discretion is not only a choice, but a form of self-preservation. Dr. Sarah Mitchell once described the noise of oversharing as a storm that threatens to erode the essence of who we are. Each time we expose a piece of ourselves, whether through a social media post, an emotional outpouring, or the eager disclosure of plans, we risk relinquishing control of that part of our identity. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wisely taught that true power lies in controlling the mind, not external events. It's a sentiment that feels increasingly relevant as we navigate the complexities of modern life. Silence, as he understood it, is not merely the absence of sound. It's a deliberate practice of withholding, of protecting the sacred within us. Consider the act of sharing your dreams and ambitions. At first, it may seem innocent, even empowering, to vocalize your goals. Yet, as the Stoics remind us, unripe ideas are fragile. They are like young seedlings that require time and care to grow strong. When shared prematurely, they are exposed to the harsh winds of doubt and criticism, which can stifle their development. Imagine the scenario. You've decided to embark on a deeply personal goal, like writing a novel or launching a business. You share your aspirations with a friend, only to be met with skepticism or unsolicited advice. Suddenly, the excitement you once felt is replaced with doubt. The dream feels heavier, less attainable, weighed down by external opinions. Now picture the alternative. You nurture this goal in private, letting it grow within the quiet space of your mind. Without the noise of external commentary, you can focus on the work itself, building momentum and confidence until you're ready to share your achievements with the world. The result is not just the fulfillment of your dream, but a profound sense of accomplishment that is yours alone. This practice of silence is not secrecy for its own sake. It's a strategy of self-protection, a way to preserve the integrity of your ambitions until they are strong enough to stand on their own. This principle extends beyond personal goals to the intimate struggles we face within our families. In an era where sharing is almost reflexive, it takes great wisdom to discern what should remain private. Families, after all, are sanctuaries, spaces where vulnerabilities can be shared without fear. But when those struggles are exposed to the outside world, that sanctuary is compromised. Imagine the weight of judgment, unsolicited advice, or even pity being placed upon the challenges your family faces. It's a burden that can deepen wounds rather than heal them. A poignant example is the story of Susan and David, a couple who faced financial hardship during a difficult economic period. Susan, seeking comfort, confided in a friend who, with the best intentions, shared their struggles with others. What followed was a wave of unsolicited advice and judgment that only intensified the pressure on their relationship. It wasn't until they chose to confront their challenges privately, away from the noise of external opinions, that they began to rebuild their bond. By reclaiming their narrative, they found strength in each other and a renewed sense of control over their circumstances. The lesson here is not to isolate yourself, but to protect the sanctity of what matters most. Keeping personal struggles private creates a space for reflection, growth, and resolution. It shields you from the distractions of external noise and allows you to focus on what truly matters. The Stoics remind us that we cannot control how others perceive us, but we can control how much of ourselves we choose to reveal. In preserving this boundary, we honor not only ourselves, but also the relationships that sustain us. Similarly, the importance of safeguarding financial and personal information cannot be overstated. In an era where data breaches and cybercrimes are rampant, the Stoic principle of vigilance takes on a new dimension. Every careless click, every overshared detail becomes a vulnerability that can be exploited. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius reminds us to act with intention. If it serves no purpose, it is best left unsaid. Applying this to the digital age means taking deliberate steps to protect your information, from securing online accounts to being mindful of what you share publicly. Trust, too, is a delicate thread that binds relationships. When someone confides in you, they offer a part of themselves, a piece of their soul that deserves the utmost care. The Stoic practice of measured speech, of speaking only when necessary and with purpose, becomes a guiding principle here. When you guard the trust of others, you not only preserve their dignity, but also strengthen the bonds of your relationships. Trust, once broken, is difficult to repair, but when nurtured with respect and discretion, it becomes a foundation for enduring connection. Even in the realm of health, discretion plays a vital role. While vulnerability can foster connection, sharing health struggles indiscriminately can expose you to judgment, pity, or advice that may not serve you. Stoic philosophy teaches us to seek support thoughtfully, turning to those who can genuinely offer help. The story of Stephen Hawking, who maintained a private dignity despite immense physical challenges, serves as a powerful reminder. By choosing carefully who to confide in, he was able to focus on his groundbreaking work and maintain control over his narrative. There is immense power in silence, in holding certain truths close. It is not an act of withdrawal, but of self-respect. By guarding your vulnerabilities, you maintain control over your emotions and preserve your peace of mind. Vulnerability, after all, is not weakness, it is courage. But that courage is best shared with those who have earned your trust, who will handle your truths with care and empathy. In the end, silence becomes a tool for self-mastery. It allows you to discern what is worth sharing and what is best kept private, to protect your inner world from the chaos of external noise. In a society that often equates visibility with value, choosing discretion is a radical act of self-preservation. It is a declaration that your worth is not defined by the approval or validation of others, but by the strength and integrity you carry within. The wisdom of Stoicism invites us to embrace this silence, not as a retreat, but as a foundation for clarity and strength. By keeping certain aspects of our lives private, we reclaim the power to shape our narratives, nurture our relationships, and protect our peace. It is a practice of profound simplicity, yet its impact reverberates through every facet of life, guiding us toward a future filled with resilience, dignity, and self-respect. In the chaos of modern life, the wisdom of silence stands as a powerful counterbalance to the relentless noise that surrounds us. It offers a space for introspection, a refuge from judgment, and a shield against the pressures of external validation. This silent strength extends into every aspect of our lives, from how we guard our relationships to how we navigate the demands of a hyper-connected world. Each decision to withhold, to preserve, becomes an act of self-respect and empowerment. Take, for instance, the delicate balance of trust in relationships. Trust is a fragile currency, earned through time and consistency, and easily lost with a single misstep. When someone entrusts you with their secrets, fears, or dreams, they hand you a piece of themselves, vulnerable and raw. What you do with that trust speaks volumes about your character. The Stoics remind us that words are powerful tools. They can build bridges or burn them. To handle another's trust with care, to guard their vulnerabilities as if they were your own, is to honor the sacred bond of connection. Consider the story of Amelia and Claire, childhood friends who had shared every aspect of their lives for decades. When Amelia faced a personal crisis, she confided in Claire, seeking solace and understanding. But Claire, perhaps without malicious intent, shared this information with others, framing it as concern. What followed was a tidal wave of unsolicited opinions and advice that only deepened Amelia's distress. The trust between them was fractured, not because of a single act, but because of the ripple effects of sharing what should have remained private. This story illustrates the delicate interplay between trust and discretion. When we share someone's secret, even with the best intentions, we risk betraying not only their confidence, but also their dignity. Silence, in this context, is an act of respect. It's a commitment to honor the trust placed in you, to hold their truths with care and integrity. The Stoics teach us that our words should be weighed carefully, spoken only when they serve a meaningful purpose. This measured approach to speech becomes a cornerstone of reliable and enduring relationships. The principle of silence extends to how we manage our own vulnerabilities. In a world that glorifies openness, it can be tempting to share our struggles widely, seeking validation or comfort. Yet, oversharing often leaves us feeling exposed, our emotions amplified by the responses, or lack thereof, of others. The Stoics remind us that our inner world is a fortress, and not everyone deserves access. To preserve your peace of mind, choose carefully who you allow into that sacred space. Imagine a young artist, Rachel, striving to find her voice in a competitive field. Excited about her latest project, she shares it with a wide circle of acquaintances, hoping for encouragement. Instead, she receives a flood of opinions, some supportive but others harshly critical. The joy she once felt in her creative process begins to wane, replaced by self-doubt. What if Rachel had shared her project with only a select few, trusted mentors or friends who understood her vision? The feedback would have been constructive, empowering her to refine her work without undermining her confidence. This example underscores the importance of protecting your creative and emotional energy. Not every thought, struggle, or ambition needs to be placed under the spotlight. Silence creates a buffer, a space where your ideas and emotions can mature without interference. It's a practice of self-preservation that allows you to remain anchored in your truth, unshaken by the opinions of others. The wisdom of silence also applies to how we navigate public spaces, particularly in the digital age. Social media has become a stage where we perform our lives, curating moments to elicit reactions from an audience. But this constant sharing often erodes the boundaries between our public and private selves, leaving us vulnerable to judgment and misunderstanding. The Stoics remind us that true strength comes from within, not from the fleeting approval of others. To embrace silence in the digital realm is to reclaim control over your narrative, to decide what parts of your life are worth sharing and what should remain sacred. Sophia, a working professional and mother of two, discovered this truth the hard way. In her eagerness to share her parenting journey online, she often posted updates about her children, from milestones to tantrums. At first, the likes and comments felt affirming, a way to connect with others. But as time went on, she noticed that her posts were being scrutinized, sometimes criticized. People questioned her decisions, offered unsolicited advice, or even used her openness against her in professional settings. Sophia realized that her need for validation had come at the cost of her family's privacy. She began to scale back, choosing instead to share only what truly mattered, and with those she trusted. The change brought her a newfound sense of peace and control over her life. This shift reflects the Stoic principle of focusing on what we can control. In a world that often demands transparency, choosing to withhold can feel counterintuitive. Yet, it is a deeply empowering act, a way to protect your inner world from unnecessary noise. Silence, in this sense, becomes a boundary, a way to safeguard your peace and priorities. The wisdom of silence also teaches us to approach health challenges with discernment. While vulnerability can foster connection, oversharing about personal health struggles can sometimes lead to unintended consequences. Not everyone is equipped to handle such information with empathy and care. By choosing to confide in those who genuinely understand or can offer meaningful support, we protect ourselves from the emotional toll of judgment or pity. This practice of selective sharing is not about secrecy, but about intentionality. It's about recognizing that not everyone has earned the right to your vulnerability. To share wisely is to maintain your dignity and to ensure that your energy is directed toward healing and growth rather than external validation. The Stoics remind us that life's greatest challenges often serve as opportunities for growth. By facing these challenges with strength and discretion, we cultivate resilience and self-respect. Silence, in this context, is not an absence of action, but a deliberate choice to act with wisdom and integrity. Through these practices, the power of silence reveals itself as a tool for self-mastery. It allows us to navigate the complexities of life with clarity and grace, to protect what matters most, and to maintain a sense of control in a world that often feels chaotic. Silence is not a retreat. It is a foundation, a space from which we can build lives that are both authentic and resilient. In embracing this wisdom, we find that silence is not merely the absence of words, but the presence of intention. It is a practice that empowers us to live deliberately, to honor our boundaries, and to cultivate the strength to face life's challenges with dignity and resolve. Through silence, we reclaim our narrative, protect our peace, and discover the profound freedom that comes from living true to ourselves. Silence, though often overlooked in the hustle of modern life, possesses a profound strength that extends into every aspect of our existence. It allows us to pause, reflect, and preserve what is most sacred to us. This strength is not passive. It is deliberate, offering us the opportunity to protect our emotional and mental well-being in a world that demands constant exposure. One of the greatest benefits of silence is how it safeguards our relationships. Trust, built over time, can be easily fractured when we fail to respect the boundaries of others. When someone shares their fears, dreams, or vulnerabilities with us, they are extending a deeply personal part of themselves. Protecting that trust is not just an act of respect, it is a reflection of our integrity. The Stoic philosophers remind us that silence is often the wisest course of action when entrusted with the confidence of others. By keeping their truths private, we strengthen the bonds that connect us, showing them that their faith in us is well placed. In a world that often conflates openness with authenticity, it's easy to fall into the trap of oversharing. We see this especially in the digital realm, where social media platforms encourage us to broadcast every moment of our lives. But this culture of exposure often leaves us vulnerable, opening the door to judgment, misunderstanding, and even exploitation. The Stoics understood the importance of boundaries and the value of guarding one's inner world. Silence in this context becomes a form of self-preservation, a way to maintain control over our narrative and protect our peace. Consider the example of sharing personal goals and ambitions. While it may feel natural to announce your plans to the world, doing so too early can expose them to unnecessary scrutiny. Imagine working toward a significant achievement, like starting a new business or pursuing a creative project. Sharing these plans prematurely invites opinions and judgments that may undermine your confidence. Instead, By keeping your goals private until they are well formed or realized, you create a protective space where your dreams can flourish without interference. Silence allows your actions to speak louder than words, showcasing your success without the distractions of external input. The same principle applies to family struggles. Families are meant to be sanctuaries, places where vulnerabilities can be shared without fear of betrayal. When these struggles are exposed to outsiders, the sanctity of that space is compromised. Keeping family matters private protects not only the dignity of your loved ones, but also the unity of your relationships. It creates a safe environment where issues can be resolved without the added pressure of external opinions or judgment. Silence also offers a powerful tool for navigating personal challenges. Health struggles, for example, are deeply personal and require careful consideration before sharing. While it's natural to seek support, oversharing can attract unhelpful advice, pity, or judgment that may exacerbate the emotional burden. By choosing to confide in those who genuinely understand and can offer meaningful help, you ensure that your energy is directed toward healing and growth rather than managing external reactions. Even in moments of vulnerability, silence allows us to maintain our dignity. It's not about hiding our struggles, but about sharing them with purpose and intention. The Stoics emphasized focusing on what we can control, and this applies to how we manage our inner world. By being selective in what we share and with whom, we protect our emotional and mental well-being. Silence does not mean isolation or avoidance. It is a practice of discernment, a way to ensure that our energy is spent on what truly matters. It's a form of self-respect that reminds us of our own worth, independent of external validation. When we embrace silence, we find strength in the stillness, clarity in the quiet, and a sense of freedom that comes from living true to ourselves. Through the wisdom of silence, we reclaim control over our lives, protect what is sacred, and cultivate resilience in the face of life's challenges. It is not an act of withdrawal, but a powerful assertion of self-mastery, allowing us to navigate the world with confidence, integrity, and peace. Silence carries a unique power that becomes even more evident when we use it to protect our vulnerabilities. In a society that often rewards oversharing, it can feel counterintuitive to keep certain parts of ourselves private. However, guarding our vulnerabilities is not about fear or avoidance. It's about self-preservation and intentionality. It's a way of acknowledging that not everyone deserves access to the deepest parts of who we are. Vulnerability is an essential part of being human, and when shared with the right people, it can create profound connections. But when exposed to those who lack the empathy or understanding to handle it with care, it can lead to betrayal, judgment, or emotional harm. This is where the Stoic principle of discernment comes into play. The Stoics teach us to carefully choose who we entrust with our emotions, ensuring that we protect our inner peace from those who might exploit or misunderstand it. Imagine sharing your fears or weaknesses with someone who doesn't value your trust. Their response may not only fail to comfort you, but may amplify your insecurities, leaving you feeling even more vulnerable. The pain of such an experience can linger, making it harder to open up in the future. By being selective with whom you share, you create a safeguard around your emotional well-being, ensuring that your vulnerabilities are met with understanding and respect. This approach doesn't mean shutting yourself off from others. It's about building strong, meaningful relationships based on trust and mutual respect. When you share with someone who truly values your trust, the connection that forms is far deeper and more authentic than any interaction based on surface-level openness. Silence, in this sense, is not a wall, but a filter, allowing you to discern who has earned the right to know your truths. The same principle applies to how we handle the vulnerabilities of others. When someone confides in us, they are extending a piece of their heart, trusting us to hold it with care. Breaking that trust, even unintentionally, can have lasting consequences. The Stoics remind us to speak only when necessary and with purpose. By practicing silence when entrusted with another's vulnerability, we honor their courage and strengthen the bond between us. Silence also plays a crucial role in maintaining boundaries, particularly in the digital age. Social media has created an environment where oversharing is not only normalized but encouraged. Every post, photo, or update becomes a moment of exposure, inviting commentary from a wide audience. While this can foster connection, it can also erode our sense of privacy and control. The Stoics would caution us to consider the impact of this constant sharing on our mental and emotional health. Oversharing for validation, whether through likes, comments, or online attention, can be a slippery slope. The more we rely on external approval, the more disconnected we become from our own sense of worth. True confidence and self-respect come from within, not from the fleeting reactions of others. By choosing to share intentionally rather than reflexively, we reclaim control over our narrative and preserve our inner peace. Consider the story of a young professional, Eric, who often posted about his personal struggles online, hoping to find encouragement from his followers. While some responses were supportive, others were dismissive or even critical. Over time, Eric realized that the validation he sought online was superficial and fleeting. It didn't address the root of his challenges or provide the support he truly needed. When he began sharing selectively with close friends and mentors instead, he found the understanding and guidance that had been missing. Eric's experience underscores the importance of intentionality in sharing. Not every moment of vulnerability needs to be public. Silence, in this context, is a way of reclaiming your energy, ensuring that it is directed toward growth and healing rather than external noise. It's about creating space for meaningful connections and protecting the parts of yourself that are still tender and in need of care. In addition to protecting our vulnerabilities, silence allows us to navigate challenges with dignity. When faced with adversity, the Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, reactions, and choices. Sharing every detail of our struggles can sometimes feel like a release, but it can also make us more susceptible to external pressures or unsolicited advice. By holding certain truths close, we retain the power to face challenges on our terms, guided by our values and inner strength. Silence also encourages self-reflection. In the stillness, we can process our experiences, understand our emotions, and gain clarity on our next steps. This inner dialogue is crucial for personal growth, allowing us to confront our fears and vulnerabilities without the distraction of external input. The Stoics valued this practice of introspection, seeing it as a way to cultivate resilience and self-awareness. Through silence, we learn to embrace our own company, finding strength in solitude rather than seeking constant validation from others. It's a practice that empowers us to navigate life with confidence, knowing that our worth is not determined by the approval or understanding of others, but by the integrity with which we live. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It is a powerful force for self-preservation, connection, and growth. It allows us to protect our vulnerabilities, build stronger relationships, and navigate life's challenges with dignity and resilience. By embracing the wisdom of silence, we create a foundation of inner strength that carries us through even the most chaotic times, reminding us that true power lies not in what we share, but in what we choose to hold sacred. Silence, in its most profound form, is a gift we give ourselves. It is the quiet space where clarity is found, strength is nurtured, and our most authentic selves are protected. In a world that demands constant exposure, where vulnerability can often be mistaken for weakness, the ability to choose what we share and what we don't becomes an act of self-mastery. Silence is not about withholding for the sake of secrecy, but about discernment, the thoughtful decision to guard what matters most. In the hustle and noise of everyday life, oversharing has become second nature to many. The culture of social media has normalized sharing every thought, every achievement, and even our deepest struggles. But the truth is, the more we expose ourselves, the more we dilute the sacredness of our experiences. Silence, in contrast, offers a protective shield, a way to preserve the parts of our lives that deserve privacy, contemplation, and reverence. Take, for example, the concept of personal victories. In our rush to share good news, we often invite external validation, which can sometimes overshadow the true joy of the accomplishment itself. Imagine working tirelessly toward a personal goal, perhaps finishing a degree, overcoming a health challenge, or reaching a milestone in your career. The temptation to share this achievement with others is strong, fueled by the hope of receiving applause and admiration. But when we rely on external recognition, we risk diminishing the intrinsic value of the success. Instead, consider keeping those victories close, savoring the fulfillment they bring without seeking outside approval. When you allow the joy of your achievement to resonate within you first, it becomes a source of lasting pride and motivation. Over time, you may choose to share your success with others, but on your terms and without the need for validation. This practice of silence transforms achievements into something deeper, moments of self-recognition that strengthen your inner resolve. This same principle applies to our struggles. When faced with challenges, it's natural to seek comfort by sharing our pain with others. But oversharing, particularly with those who may not have our best interests at heart, can leave us feeling exposed and unsupported. The Stoics remind us that not everyone is equipped to handle our vulnerabilities with care. By choosing to confide in a trusted few, those who truly understand and respect us, we protect ourselves from unnecessary judgment and emotional strain. Silence also serves as a powerful tool for fostering resilience. When we face difficulties, the instinct to seek advice or sympathy can sometimes overshadow our ability to find solutions within ourselves. The Stoics believed in cultivating an inner dialogue, a space where we could reflect on our challenges and draw strength from our own wisdom. In silence, we gain clarity, allowing us to approach problems with a calm and steady mind. This self-reliance doesn't mean facing everything alone. It means building the confidence to navigate life's uncertainties without being overwhelmed by the noise of external opinions. Another vital area where silence plays a transformative role is in our relationships. Trust, the foundation of any meaningful connection, is built on the ability to respect boundaries. When someone confides in you, they are entrusting you with a piece of themselves. Protecting that trust requires discretion, a commitment to holding their vulnerability with care. The Stoic practice of measured speech, speaking only when necessary and with purpose, reminds us of the power of restraint. By choosing silence when it matters most, we honor the courage it takes for someone to share their truths with us. Consider the story of a close friendship between two individuals, Elena and Maria. When Maria faced a personal crisis, she confided in Elena, trusting her to keep the matter private. Elena, with the best intentions, shared Maria's story with another friend, seeking advice on how to help. But this breach of trust, however unintentional, deeply hurt Maria. She felt exposed and betrayed, and their friendship suffered as a result. Eleanor's well-meaning words had unintended consequences, illustrating how even small lapses in discretion can have lasting effects. In contrast, when we choose silence, we strengthen the bonds of trust that hold our relationships together. Silence becomes a gesture of respect, a way of saying, "I value your trust, and I will honor it." This practice not only deepens connections, but also reinforces our own integrity, reminding us of the importance of loyalty and empathy in our interactions. The power of silence also extends to how we navigate public spaces, particularly in the age of social media. The constant pressure to share every moment of our lives can leave us feeling exposed and fragmented. But by embracing the Stoic principle of intentionality, we reclaim control over what we choose to share. Silence in the digital realm is not about withdrawing completely, but about setting boundaries that protect our mental and emotional well-being. Imagine curating your social media presence to reflect only what aligns with your values and priorities. By sharing selectively, you create a space that feels authentic and empowering rather than overwhelming. This intentional approach allows you to engage with others meaningfully while preserving the parts of your life that deserve privacy. Silence, in this context, becomes a filter, a way to ensure that what you share adds value to your life and the lives of others. Finally, silence offers a path to inner peace. In the stillness, we find the opportunity to connect with ourselves on a deeper level. The Stoics believed that true strength comes from within, and silence is the medium through which we access that strength. It allows us to process our emotions, reflect on our experiences, and gain clarity on what truly matters. In a world that often feels chaotic and demanding, this quiet space becomes a sanctuary, a place where we can recharge and realign with our purpose. Through silence, we learn to value our own company, finding fulfillment not in the approval of others, but in the confidence that comes from living authentically. It's a practice that teaches us to trust ourselves, to honor our boundaries, and to embrace the power of discretion. Silence is not an absence. It is a presence, a deliberate choice to protect what is sacred and to cultivate a life that feels true to who we are. As we navigate the complexities of life, the wisdom of silence becomes a guiding force. It teaches us to discern what is worth sharing and what is best kept private, to honor the trust of others, and to protect our own vulnerabilities. In embracing silence, we discover a profound strength that carries us through life's challenges with grace and resilience. Silence, then, is not just a tool, it is a way of being. It is the foundation upon which we build our relationships, our goals, and our sense of self. By cultivating this practice, we create a life that is both grounded and free, a life that honors the power of stillness and the clarity it brings. In a noisy world, silence becomes our greatest ally, reminding us that true strength lies not in what we share, but in what we choose to hold sacred.